Well, I'm Elizabeth Snead. It's nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice to meet you.
I really love your film.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really proud of it. I like the fact it's so dark. That's what I like about it.
So dark. What I think is hilarious, though, is that you were handed a script that's set in 1348 during the height of the bubonic plague, and you go, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I not just because of the kind of the vileness of the disease, but the period was so interesting. I think that when people turn up to look at, you know, even today, sadly, when you know there's like a witch burning or there's a hanging or people turn up to watch it, I think there's a natural kind of an interest in the medieval times because you knew that they kind of, it's where torture kind of, it didn't come from there, it came from the beginning of time, but torture is that, yeah, that whole period's really interesting, I think. And then on top of all of that, fundamentalism, the cruelty they showed to each other in a time when they should have been pulling together, all that stuff makes me go, yeah, what a movie at the end is like the whole film for me is a radicalization story. We start off with a very moderate Christian who at the end has become unmoderate in his views because of all the things that happened.
The look of the film also is partly due to the fact that you were doing a handheld camera, and there's a bit of graininess, like a war coverage.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was the plan. We wanted to make it feel. If you look at violence on the internet, or violence, it's so much worse than anything that comes out of the kind of violent movies that you think are violent in Hollywood. And I've made them. I've made films where there's a titillating aspect to the violence, and the part of the pleasure of it is how will that person die, and then they die in this funny, gruesome way, and we all enjoy it. But when you're dealing with something and you're trying to make it feel real, the reality is, as Sean Bean, when he drags the witch off and saws, you know, he does it in a long shot and he just kills her and throws her on the floor. It's much more violent that way than if we'd have had 15 different camera angles and had her, you know, her eyeball and all, you know. Yeah. It just feels rough, and I think it makes it feel more real.
Were you inspired by any of the early horror films from the British company?
Yeah, people mentioned The Wicker Man, but that wasn't really my inspiration. The starting point was 3 films. The one was the Name of the Rose, which was obviously very similar in the period. The other was when I was at film school, I was obsessed with the kind of medieval Bergman. So you get the tone, I think, of something like Seventh Seal in terms of the melancholy of everybody. And then Aguirre, Wrath of God was the main reference, which was this, to try and create the madness of the Klaus Kinski character and put that into a narrative, more traditional narrative than the Aguirre model, which is more of a kind of lyrical story.
What about the casting of this? I know Sean Bean was attached. Had you seen Eddie Redmayne in The Pillars of the Earth?
No. Eddie, this was before. Eddie went straight from ours straight to Pillars of the Earth, and I just came in. I took over from another director, so they'd done auditions and they'd done things that they were going a certain way that I didn't want to go. I wanted Eddie. I wanted the monk to look as though he has a Christ-like, almost like a Jim Caviezel character, a kind of ethereal quality. So it doesn't look as though, you know, you've seen this actor hanging out of some member's bar, going out with some model, and you know, and then suddenly he's meant to be a pious monk. Eddie had done some really good work, but he has this beautiful face, and really he's a great actor. So I saw his thing and I said, let's get this guy in, and I met him and I thought he's perfect for it. And then straight away from there, he then went to Pillars of the Earth, and then from Pillars of the Earth, he was cast in that amazing play Red, and then he won Broadway. So, you know, his star's rising, but he's just a great actor. Some of the scenes we do in the movie, there's a scene where he finds the remains of his girlfriend that are clothes, and he's crying, the horse is there. From the moment he runs down into that valley to look for her until the moment he then cries and the guys arrive, we shot the whole of that in about an hour, literally, the whole, like 10 shots, just running, turning, because the light was going and we knew we had no budget, we had to move off. Every time Eddie was just perfect. He's an amazing actor.
Now, tell me about the locations. This must have been fabulous to be able to shoot in that area.
Yeah, well, we did the whole thing in real locations. There's no studios in it at all, and the area was amazing. I mean, the greatest moment, I think, was when the production designer, because we always try to find the real place and shoot in the real place first, but sometimes the non-real place looks more like a real place than a real place, so you might want to go into the cellar of an old beer cellar to find the cellar of a monastery. We didn't in this, we actually used monasteries, but sometimes you find better looking places elsewhere. But the great thing was when the production designer managed to secure the village. We built some of the village, but most of it's real, that amazing medieval village. So, you know, and they were so kind to let us go there because it was a kind of state place, but yeah, I mean, it puts the production value through the roof when you see that place. And, oh my God, it's a medieval village.
Yeah, it's so realistic. It's almost a little frightening.
Yeah, and they're nice. That's the thing, though. The weird thing when they get there and they're all nice. Hey, come on in. You kind of go, not sure.
Now the makeup and the hair and the costuming was fantastic.
Yeah, we just went for the let's make it feel filthy. Let's not look like they've all just got out of the dentist and they've all got their kind of LA smile and their pumped up arms, and we just said no, they've got to look grim. Weirdly though, in the rush, often things slip under the radar, and because we shot the film in order, which is rare, but because we had the actor availability for the whole time, we said let's do the whole film in order and shoot it like Apocalypse Now. So we're filming it as we go up the scene. We're in order, and the young girl who plays Kimberly Nixon, who plays Eddie Redmayne, the monk's girlfriend. We're just about to turn over, and Eddie Redmayne leans across and says, "Don't you think she's a bit clean? She's not had her. And she goes, No, I've got mud on me. I'm dirty." And even after we mudded her up more, she still looks the cleanest in the movie. So she sneaked it through, but she doesn't realise that the girls in movies look better when they're kind of covered in oil, like in Alien, the Ripley model.
Absolutely,
they look better. You know, if I was a girl, I'd be covered in it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody wanted to go and visit these castles, where would you tell them to go?
Well, we filmed it all in Saxony, a place called Saxony-Anhalt, which is east of Berlin. So, I mean, a great trip. This is going to make them very happy, but it's an amazing area. I would fly to Berlin and then get the train from Berlin, and you can go on a medieval tour around that area. And because it's not the most westernized place in Germany, it's so friendly, and it's not as expensive, and there you go. Pay for the tourist board of that area, because I think that you can. The places are one of the great privileges. There are many of being a film director is that you get to visit places that you would never visit. So you go, instead of just going to Berlin, you go to very small medieval towns and also sometimes on previous films you're looking around the city dump, or you're looking around a sewer, and there's all things that you wouldn't do. And I think all of them are equally lucky.